Yeah, I think I was talking about it the last time I was on for Fog Lake. That dropped last Wednesday, and like my fucking Instagram notifications about it haven't stopped since, so it's doing well, I guess.
Oh, that's good. That's good though.
Yeah. Oh man, like Aaron shared it. Fog Lake, the guy's name is Aaron. He shared it as like a collaborative post, so I get all the notifications from it. But it's like on his account, and it's like the comments on it have been like fucking insane. Like people are like, "You saved my life," and like, "I listened to this album the first time I did oxycodone."
Oh my god.
It's fucking unhinged. So yeah, that's been fun. And I used the money from that to buy this new camera that I'm using right now, so that's fun. That's the main thing I've got going on right now. And like,
so what like where did the inspiration? I know like it's got that kind of like old filmy kind of style. Like how did you come up with that, and how long
honestly,
did it take to put together?
The general aesthetic of it kind of came out of, I have this like effect that I've been playing around with using like layers and transparencies, where like one layer, so it's like the effect that I use in the scene where he's just sitting on the couch, and it's like, you know, the empty couch, and then the light passes over him and it illuminates him, and it's like, he kind of looks like a ghost, I guess. So like I've been like playing around with that, and the idea for that came from, there's like a scene in, everything fucking comes back to David Lynch for me. There's a scene in a later episode of season 2 of Twin Peaks where they're in like the woods, and there's like a spotlight, and an arm reaches out of the spotlight, and I always just like felt like those were really cool looking effect, and I was like, I want to fuck around and figure out how to do that. I haven't quite gotten to that look yet, but like that was like the first kind of image that I was playing around with, so we shot that, and then we were gonna do kind of a similar thing in like different locations, just have him like singing into the camera and use like the transparencies of the light, but we realized that we would have had to like shoot a location, then wait for it to get dark and shoot it again. So that was, you know, not really feasible. So we just like shot 2 different layers, and then I just fucked around with different effects in in Premiere and After Effects until I like figured out something that looked cool. And then he had a bunch of like all the like videotape overlays. That was just stuff that Aaron had shot himself. He sent those over, and I just like fucked around again until something cool came out.
So it's a little bit of a collaborative effort then, I guess, if he's got the music.
Yeah, he was like, we kind of share a fondness for like weird lo-fi horror vibes. So he like is just always shooting stuff like that. He sent me, there's one shot that he sent me where he's like singing in silhouette, and there's like the static of the TV behind him, and he's like facing sideways, and that actually ended up like it wasn't even intentional, because like he had shot that on his own and sent it over, and when I like layered it up, there's this video game that I've been like obsessed with lately called Control. I don't know if you guys know the game Alan Wake, but it's like the same.
I do know Alan Wake. I don't know. Let me enlighten me here. What's that all about?
Alan Wake is it came out in like 2010, and it's like kind of inspired by like Twin Peaks and like Stephen King.
Nice.
And stuff like that. Really good game. And then in 2019, the same studio, writer, developer came out with this game Control. It's kind of like this science fiction game where the main character is like infiltrates this government agency that investigates like strange occurrences, kind of like X-Files or like Fringe. Like shows like that are really big influences on it. But there's this thing in it called the Hotline where you're communicating with these like the former, basically the spirits of like the former head of the organization, and it like the look of it is just, you know, this silhouette against like a blue glowing background, and it ended up being exactly what I fucking did in the Fog Lake video. And like I was like, it was like so on it, like I was. I did it, and then like later that week I was playing. I was like, wait a second, no fucking way.
So but it's like a subconscious
went
thing.
Back
really.
to the video, like shit. Completely unintentional, but like very relevant to, you know, the shit that's been influencing me lately, I guess.
That's funny. Do you find like, because
Yeah.
I find like when I'm stumbling around, like I find like with music, for instance, or whatever. Like I mean, that's kind of my primary creative outlet or whatever. But I find like sometimes like you're stumbling around in the dark. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, totally.
I don't know how to explain it. Like you kind of know what you're doing. Like you know what you're doing. Like to a certain
Like
degree.
you have a rough sense of like what you want, but you're like just not necessarily sure how to get there. So you're just like, you know, playing around with different ideas and like seeing what happens, and then, you know, a lot of trial and error. And so like, I ended up accidentally ripping off the video game that I've been playing for the past months. Killer video game. And then there's part of Control that actually ties back to Alan Wake. And then this year, Alan Wake 2 came out that like ties everything even more together. So it's like this huge, like weird connected universe of like horror, sci-fi, so like we just have this, like, Aaron and I just kind of have had this like general affinity for, you know, that like lo-fi horror kind of look. So I just played around with like the stuff that I shot. Like I shot on like 4K digital, but I, you know, played around with a filter called a plugin called Dehancer that's like designed to accurately emulate film. So it kind of gives you like the color response and like the grain, and like you can like really like dial in like how lo-fi you want it, and like it looks like I wasn't going for accuracy necessarily, but like I've seen people dial it into a point where like you would never be able to tell that it wasn't shot on film, unless you're like, you know, have a highly trained eye. So I just, again, fucked around with that until I got something that looked good.
It looks it's really like, it looks really good. Like as much as it's lo-fi, it's still really like crispy. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's very deep, but there's almost like, because I got it all up on my screen kind of thing. I'm looking at it, like there is almost like a 3D-ness to it all. Like it's, you know what I mean? If you kind of put on 3D glasses just a little, just like that type of a thing to
like
it. Looks cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, thanks. I was like, we had been wanting to work together for a while. Like I'm sure I mentioned last time, like we've known each other for years, and, you know, I've been like meaning to get around to working on something. So, and like it's a 6-minute song, so it was fucking hard to really like put something together that was like as simple as it is, but like also as kind of, you know, visually interesting to look at for 6 minutes. So, you know, as it goes on, you know, I start like distorting his face and like, which like, I don't even know where that idea came from. I was just like, I kind of wanted to like build some kind of like visual tension as as the video went on, and again, trial and error, like total experimentation. And it was, Aaron was just like, do what you want with it. Like, he was like, gave me full creative input to like do what I wanted with it. And so I was just like, what can I like, put a what's the word? Not filter. A mask, like a mask over his face, and like just like apply different settings. Like a mask is, you select part of the screen and it only applies the effect to that part that you select.
Yeah.
So I was like, just put the mask around his face and just like started like playing around with like different, like just like going through the list of like different distortions and stuff that were in there until I got something that I thought looked good.
So what would the timeline be for that from, say, from the opening, from your concept to filming to editing till release? What kind of timeline is that?
We shot in October, and like I had kind of the loose idea just like kicking around. So we took like half a day in October to like drive around to different spots and film. We wanted to take longer, but his car broke down the day that happened. So it was a whole fucking ordeal. And then like my dad was supposed to pick me up in St. John's and drive me to Whitburn, where he lives now. And like, so I had to like call dad and be like, can you hang on for like a couple more hours? We need to, so we were like rushing through like getting these shots. So like, we probably spent 6 hours on the day shooting. And then like, I didn't touch the footage until I got my new computer in March, because I had like tried to like do a little bit on my MacBook, but it's a 8-year-old laptop trying to do multiple layers and effects in like 4K, like high bitrate footage. So it was just like
not
pointless to even like consider. Like if I wanted to like see how an effect looked, I would have to like render out like a 5-second clip and play that back, and it would take like an hour to render out that 5-second clip. So it was like, this is
fuck
untenable, which is what made me decide like I need to buy a new fucking computer. So like I got started like in March, and like I said, there was like so much trial and error that I probably finished it a week before it went up. So like, yeah, like took a few months to like really dial in like what I was trying to do with it and like get the edit actually done. And that was, with like working a full-time day job on top of that and stuff, like just like finding the time on my like, in my spare time to.
Yeah. Because a 6-minute song is no joke. That's a lot of work. Like,
man. There's a lot of shit, man.
Yeah.
Working in film is a little different in that capacity. You can kind of sneak by audio stuff, but visual stuff's a little different. Especially when you're trying to accomplish, like you're actually trying to accomplish something different. You're just trying to like make a clip, but you're trying to actually accomplish something, do something cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, like taking like there were points where I was like, do I even have enough? Like I had like the footage of like him performing like the entire song in each section, but there were like disruptions and like stuff. So it was like finding like the best parts for each scene, and like like even cutting like the different parts together, like figuring out like, and I don't know if it, like, is the kind of thing that comes across to someone who's watching it, but like when I'm editing or like sometimes like even when I'm like watching something that I had nothing to do with, like down to like the frame, like if something cuts a frame early or like a frame late, I'm like, that could have been a slightly smoother cut.
Yeah.
And it's like such a like minute nitpicky thing, but it's like I obsess over that kind of stuff, probably to a detriment. But
I know what you're saying though. I know what you mean by that.
Yeah,
you pick everything apart, every little thing. Like I know what you mean.
Well, you kind of have to do that, right? I mean, and it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because you're working so hard to try and make this thing, perfect this thing, and it's like sometimes like people don't ever release something because they're just taking so long trying to perfect something. Like going back over, I think I could do it this better or this better, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a point at which you have to be like, okay, this is like, I'm done whether or not I'm actually done. You know, you have to like cut it loose and put it out into the world. But I was like, and like I sent it to Aaron. I was like so fucking nervous. I was like, like, you know, I was like, I think it's good, but like, you know, will he like it? You know, and he was stoked about it. So. And like I think the first thing he said to me when like I texted him, he was like, the Inland Empire vibes are strong. I was like, fuck yes. I wasn't even going for that, but fuck yes.
I'm not too familiar, but I have heard it before. I know
it's well established as like, you know, the reason I got into filmmaking. So I'm like,
and if you don't already know, folks, we have award-winning filmmaker, director, writer, and shitposter apparently, Jonathan Kennedy on the podcast tonight.
That's oh man, so I had forgotten that when I like. He recorded the intro for that podcast like after we recorded. So he was like, "What do you want me to say?" I was like, "Shit, I don't know. I'm so bad at like saying anything about like kind of like describing anything about myself." So I was like, filmmaker, writer, shitpost. I mean, I am a shitposter. I got banned from Twitter for shitposting. So it takes a fucking lot to get banned from Twitter. So
well, yeah, that's a whole.
Funny because I just clicked the link when you said it, and it's like account suspended. What is it? Violated the X rules.
Oh no!
Shit. Oh, Elon out here banning.
Yeah, according to I've been banned from Twitter for maybe 6 months now, and like I've appealed and they haven't gotten back to me yet. But it was like when they did it, the email they sent me said something about like spamming or rigging the platform.
What?
And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Rigging the platform, eh?
Doesn't even make sense. I mean, you're spitting the truth over here. You're letting the people know what's going on.
I mean, you're even if it's not, you're still entitled to say it. Like, it's just the internet.
Yeah. So what I figure happened is, my very vocal and occasionally abrasive political views may have rubbed some people the wrong way, and I may have gotten like mass reported or something. But it's probably better for my general day-to-day life that I'm not wasting hours and hours on Twitter.
Yeah, I stopped doing Twitter a while ago.
I still have it, but I'm pretty good at not. I don't know. I just can't participate anymore. It's just
oh man.
For me it was
there's
like
too many rabbit holes and there's too many things and like I don't know. And my mind changes sometimes, and I don't know. It's too much. It's just too much. So Twitter's nuts.
Yeah.
I like checking in every now and then just to see what's happening, just to laugh and kind of read stuff and whatever. But I don't freak around with it too much. I got pretty deep into the rabbit holes of nonsense on there a few times.
Yeah, like the only thing I really miss about Twitter is like I had been on Twitter since like 2008, so I've like really like cultivated like my feed really well. Like I had accounts that like I know were good sources of information, and like accounts that like posted stuff like outside of like politics or whatever, like stuff that like I was really interested in. Like I had like a lot of good like connections and stuff on there that I only had on there.
Yeah,
but it was it's whatever. Sometimes I get like the first 2 months were really bad because like it had become such like a habit that I would like open up the app on my phone and be like, oh right, I can't look at this anymore. They're not letting me.
They don't let me do this.
Yeah, and like I've been like dabbling in like fucking Blue Sky and Threads. They're garbage apps, and like there's no one interesting on there. So like
Threads is weird.
They function. Sorry, go ahead.
Threads is weird. I find Threads weird. Doesn't
we
I don't
we have a podcast on the Threads, but it's I look at it, it's like
auto posting or whatever, you know what I mean, like whatever we post just kind of goes there too.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and like not a lot of people really use it regularly or anything. Like there are a few more people over on Blue Sky, but it's like and like the other thing I really miss about Twitter is that there was a setting on Twitter where you can turn off reply or notifications from people that you don't follow.
Oh.
So, if like I've had tweets go viral that I never knew went viral because I didn't see the notifications of like the 5,000 people calling me an asshole in the replies or whatever. And like a friend of mine would like screen cap and be like, you went viral. I was like, had no idea. And that's, I don't want to hear some like fucking random persons and like obviously I'm a random person who gives other random people my opinion all the fucking time, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite, but like I don't care what any like anyone that I don't know and has like 5 posts on their Twitter account has to say about anything I say. So it's like if I could like turn off replies on Threads or Blue Sky or whatever, it would make using those things a little more enjoyable, I think. But it's the kind of thing that like as I wean myself off of it, it's probably a lot better for my mental well-being.
I would say most people say when they get off Twitter, they're like, oh shit, this is better.
Yeah. And in my case, it was mostly just sports things. So Toronto Maple Leafs Twitter is a fucking shithole, and it's like complete negative to like, positive, and it just totally fucked with my head.
Exactly the same. So
I believe it's all the same to a certain degree.
AEW, WWE shit. Like
sorry, say that again.
Like AEW, WWE shit. You know what I mean? And people go back and forth. It's just like I can't handle this shit no more.
No, it's too much, man. Twitter's nuts.
Yeah, like it's so funny that people get so like
tribal,
obnoxious,
it's worked up,
tribalism.
Oh yeah, everything.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like what? Like if it's good, enjoy it, and if it sucks, then it's watch the other thing. But like who cares? Like, it's fucking pro wrestling.
Like same with like iPhones and Android. You know what I mean? Like
and
whatever.
The really funny thing about that kind of stuff is like I can't remember if it was like with iPhone and Android or with like Mac and Windows or like something along those lines. There was a study like years and years ago that it was like a neurological study, I think, and I think it was like the same centers of the brain would light up under whatever tests they do as as when they would be like shown religious material. Like they like it was like the affiliation and like the associations in like people's minds are like the same kind of connections they're making to like their like most deeply held like spiritual beliefs or whatever. And it's like that's kind of like I have no deeply held spiritual beliefs, but that's kind of fucked.
It is, yeah. Like the people who have iPhones, it's like this is a part of me, right? So they must defend it at all costs.
This is me. This is part of me.
Yeah.
The brand becomes you, kind of a thing, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
there's lots of that, man.
If they got a phone, if they broke their phone and got an Android, then they'd be like switched over in like a week.
It's like a matter of getting used to the system that you're using, and then it's basically the same thing.
Oh yeah, but there's lots of stuff like that. I mean, even like, but I think some of it is like we come from like the generation of like you could turn the channel, and like that's kind of how you were, that's kind of how you were taught, I suppose, in a way. It was kind of like, oh well, if you don't like it, then don't look or whatever, kind of a thing. So, but I don't.
Yeah,
I don't feel that's a thing anymore. Everybody feels like they have to participate, like even if it's wrong or right, and if wrong or right, regardless of who thinks it is or if it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if understand.
Yeah, and it's like kind of like, you know, the way like everything is like so like monopolized, and like there are so few like, you know, there are so few like options in like any given realm that it feels like, and like there's also like no one has any like real connection to anything important in their lives.
No,
you know, everyone's so fucking alienated from like every aspect of their lives that it's like, yeah, I'm an iPhone user and that's who I am as a person.
Yeah, super weird. It's very weird, but
it's depressing but also hilarious.
And people get like that with everything too. It's funny how you say that. Like it depends on, you know, I would rather use Fenders, and this person would rather use Gibsons, and this person likes Pepsi, and this person likes Coke, and this person, you know what I mean, likes Nike. This person likes Adidas. Like, just really fucking relax. Like, you know what I mean? It's not who we are. We're not what we buy. We're not what the shoes that we wear. We're not the phones that we have. And it goes back to, you know, Fight Club. You know what I mean? It's like we're not. That's not who we are.
Go read Fight Club. Go read No Logo by Naomi Klein. Like, you know.
Yeah, but I think like the disposable, we're in the disposable era, you know what I mean? Which I mean is very obvious. You know, like there's a new phone like nobody needs a new phone twice a year. It's just that's stupid. It's not a realistic thing, and it's not just phones. I mean, it's everything, man. Like the friggin' plates you buy, like anything, everything. Well, like, it's nuts.
Even the computer, or not the computer, the camera that I bought today. Like, you know, I bought a new cinema camera today, and it's like. My old camera is like 8 years old. Like it came out in 2016, and like it's still an incredible camera. Like I could that's what I shot the Fog Lake video on, and you know one of like the best looking films of like the past decade. A Wanting Mare was shot on the exact same camera that like my old camera is.
Nice.
And like it's like, you know, it's still fully capable of like creating like incredible images, and it's like still what I use. Most of my photography that I post is, you know, shot on that camera, and like it's, you know, a great camera. And like I felt like when I hit like the pay now button on the website to buy the camera, I was like, I felt guilty because it was like, do I really need this new camera? I mean, like the new camera has like, you know, a lot of features that I wanted, and like, you know, that are beneficial and stuff, but it's like, you know, dropping like, you know, $3,000 or whatever to like get like marginally better video quality to like, you know, people are streaming it through, you know, YouTube or Vimeo or whatever. They're not gonna be able to tell that, you know, there are like a billion colors instead of like 16 million or whatever the difference was. Right. So it's like, yeah, it's like one of those things. It's like, you know, it's unnecessary, but you know, every now and then you succumb to the pressures.
You got to indulge too, and every now and then, right? And I mean, and it doesn't matter what you believe in. It feels nice every now and then to get yourself something cool.
We're all good.
It just does.
And that dopamine hit.
Yeah, man.
Dopamine hit, you know, really goes a long way.
Especially if you feel like it's a useful tool. You know what I mean? Like that's what like the Mac. Like, I bought a new mini Mac. It was same kind of premise, right? I was like, well, fuck it. Like, okay, well, I need one now. Like, or I feel like I need one. I don't really need one, but I want one, and it'll make it better, or whatever.
Yeah, no, like, it, you know, if you're using it like regularly, it, you know, helps to have something that, you know, works and, you know, doesn't make your life miserable when you're trying to use it.
Yeah.
I just wish they would make things that would last longer these days, you know?
That's real. That's a real thing. Like,
like
a couple vintage instruments or whatever that I have. I mean, these things are like fucking 50 years old, man. You know, 60 years old. It's like the amp I have at the house.
Old cars too, you know, just last longer. But now even new vehicles are all computerized and stuff, and you don't really.
Oh yeah, and they're just made of junk. Like same thing. You're like like essentially are in a program where now you have to, you know, regardless of how well you take care of it, you're at like maximum like 12 to 15 years, and even that's probably pushing it now, Right, and that's pretty crazy when you think about you're going to pay like say average car is whatever 45 grand kind of thing. Like that's nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's even on the low end these days.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's
right,
crazy.
Like you just go buy a vehicle that's new and it's 45 grand. Now you get it for probably in that case like probably 8 to 10 years, and then you're replacing this thing. Like this is nuts.
Yeah, fuck, man. What is the world coming to here?
Well, you outsource everything and you want everything cheap.
Doing what they can to squeeze us dry.
Right. Trying to keep us down, man. What the fuck? How are we going to fucking fight the power here? How are we going to fight the power?
Right.
Well, I have literature that you can read.
There's definitely a podcast or two out there, I'd say, too. You could probably have a listen to. But no, it is true, though. But based on, we'll follow it in a different path. So, like, talking about your camera, for instance, like your older camera, right? Because looking through your photography and stuff yesterday and the day before, and then like I've seen like the first couple short films that you've done and stuff like that. Like you got like a style, and like I know from my perspective as like a music guy or whatever, there's like certain tools, certain instruments or whatever that I like, but not only because they sound cool, they provide like inspiration. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you find like you got some kind of go-to gear, or even just like because like you have a style, like whether you like it or not, you have a style, and it shows, which is wicked. Like that's the kind of the point in a way. But like what's your go-to stuff for inspiration when it comes to like not necessarily gear, but you know what I mean? Like I like these things because it makes me feel the way or whatever.
Yeah, like I mean, in terms of gear, I like.
He's gonna show it. We're gonna get deep here now.
I mean, this is the camera that I shoot most of like my photography on. It's like I said, like the body itself is 8 years old. The lens that I use, I have a set of these. They're Zeiss, super nice lenses. They're like 30 or 40 years old, maybe.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, they're like fully manual and stuff.
Because that's what Sony cam? That's a Sony camera you have, like the body, right?
Yeah, it's a Sony A7S II.
Oh,
so it's
A
like,
series. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's a full frame, so like the sensor is the same size as like a frame of 35 millimeter film. And like a lot of other like your average like consumer digital camera is a smaller sensor than that. It's like 1.5. It's like cropped in by like 1.5%. So
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like so it's like a bit smaller, and like the camera that I bought today, that has it's called Super 35, which is like the standard size for like motion picture film frames.
Yeah.
So like you get like the way the image is projected onto the sensor makes it look a little like you get different like a different amount of the image in the frame.
Yeah.
Depending on the lens you're using and stuff. But fuck, where was I going with that?
What inspires you about that 35 millimeter?
It's it kind of I started shooting photography on film, so it kind of it was easy to carry over, and like the way I like compose an image and like the way I'm used to like seeing an image and how like the out of focus parts of the image will be different on that bigger sensor or a smaller sensor. So I'm like it kind of that I've just trained my brain to kind of think in that way to compose those images. So there's actually a lens adapter that I'm planning on picking up in Toronto tomorrow that will convert, like it'll shrink down the image that my lens is like projecting onto the sensor, so that it gets the full image onto the smaller sensor. Which it effectively makes the new camera like a full 35 millimeter frame as well. But then I've also been shooting. Grab it real quick. I've been trying to get back into shooting film on medium format.
Oh, wow. Shit.
It's this big boy.
That's pretty sick.
And like this is small for a medium format camera, but like the film frame is like twice the size of a 35 millimeter
Oh, crazy.
film frame. So like again, like that changes, the way like the autofocus section is rendered, and like the way how much of a 50 millimeter on like a regular full frame 35 is standard, like the standard like human field of view or whatever. On medium format, it's a 50 millimeters wide. On the Super 35 medium, or on Super for 35, a 50 millimeter is kind of a portrait lens. It's like punched in or whatever. So it kind of changes the way you have to think about the image that you're putting together. But I've been trying to kind of spread the way I think more across those like different formats, and then outside of just the gear that I'm using, I spend a lot of time just like looking through like photo books and stuff. I have this guy Alex South, who he shoots large format, which is like a single frame of large format film, depending on the kind you're using, is like either 4 inches by 5 inches or 8 inches by 10 inches. Like it's fucking massive.
That's a giant portrait.
Yeah, no, it's huge, and like that again, like I said, changes the way like image is rendered. But let me see if I can find. This is like his like most famous photo.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's like he just like travels around doing these like really weird portraits of like random people and like rural places, and there's like kind of like an unsettling almost kind of sensibility. One of his photo books is he found people who are like living off the grid, and like they're like preppers or like just like completely like taking themselves outside of society or whatever, and done portraits of them, and like it's so much like you listen to like people like that talk about like their process, and it's like you start to think of photography or like filmmaking or like whatever your artistic medium is, like you kind of like start to think of like we've grown up with like this conception of you take photos of nice looking things, and you make art that's like meant to be entertaining and like easily palatable and stuff, but like it kind of like makes you think outside of, I mean, that's obviously all of like the shit that I like kind of leans in that direction. Like we talked about like last time I was on, I was rambling on about like David Lynch and Harmony Korine. And speaking of Harmony Korine, have either of you guys seen his new movie?
No, I haven't.
It's called Aggro Drift, and it was shot entirely in like thermal camera infrared.
What?
Wow.
What?
And it's like there's no real plot. It's just like following this like assassin, and like it like feels like a fever dream. And I was like I watched the trailer and like I read the description and stuff. I was like, this sounds so fucking stupid. And I watched it, and it was fucking incredible.
So he's been out of the film world for a while now, hasn't he? He's just kind of coming back into it, or is that?
I mean, he kind of like he's such an interesting guy, because like he kind of like comes and goes and like he just does his thing, like whatever his whims are, he just like follows them. So like he had his last film before that was Beach Bum with Matthew McConaughey back in like,
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
maybe like 2017, 2018. I don't even remember when it came out. And then like I think before that was Spring Breakers in like 2012, 2013. So like he takes his time between projects and stuff, and like just like does like he's such a like he just like finds the weirdest approach to something he can and just like goes like full bore into like his next project just got announced, and it's like some kind of like hybrid first person shooter video game / film about giant babies.
Wow.
There you go. That's pretty sick. Like that sounds like, I know it sounds silly when you say it out loud, but at the same time, maybe that's fucking sick.
I'm sure it'll be sick. Like, you know, like aggro drift. Like I said, like
aggro drift. I gotta remember that. I'm gonna watch this.
I gotta write in my notes here.
You text that to me. You write it. You text it to me. But
like just like even just like watch the trailer for it, and it's like you like watch the trailer. You're like, the entire film can't be like that. But the entire film is like that.
Well, that's fine. And, but I like weird. I do like weird like films for sure. Like that's the thing. So like, have you ever seen like kind of like the same kind of context in a way, like unsettling or kind of like uncomfortable to even listen to, let alone watch? Is like Soft White Underbelly, where the guy does the black and white. It's all on YouTube. YouTube. I'm pretty sure, but it's all like interviews with like drug addicts and, you know, prostitutes, and like he does a whole series on this kind of like inbred family and.
Right.
Same thing. He takes like portraits of them, but also interviews them and tries to help a bunch of, like, he helps a lot of people too, which is pretty crazy when you think about what he's doing. But it's a cool series. Like, you probably enjoy it. Actually, it's pretty sick. Like, it's, I don't know, hour 45-minute to hour 20-minute interviews with him and stuff. And like he's a photographer. He's a filmmaker too. I can't not remember his name to save my life right now, but Soft White Underbelly is what it's called. It's really cool, really interesting. Yeah, I will say that it's really interesting. But he's like, most people are at Skid Row and stuff like that. So
right.
Yeah, but it's really interesting, like a lot of the interesting stories, but his portraits are really cool. He released a book with all of his portraits in it. It's kind of what that reminded me of. Was, I mean, it doesn't look the same, but something about it kind of reminded me of the same thing.
Yeah.
You're gonna type it up.
Typing it in. Let me type that in.
I
wonder
because I will absolutely forget if I don't.
Oh yeah,
it down.
It's like I had to type in the game control, and then I'm like, all right, aggro drift.
Oh,
because I'll usually forget too, and I don't normally listen to a whole podcast back. I'll just let it out in the world, and I just let it be.
Do it once and let it go. Yeah.
What other kind of documentaries and stuff are you into these days, or that have you seen recently?
Honestly, like I haven't watched many documentaries recently. Like I kind of it's funny. I kind of like go back and forth between like I'll have like phases where I will like watch like I'll watch documentaries and read novels, like fiction novels, and then I'll like kind of drift into watching documentaries and then reading, or drift into like reading nonfiction and then watching fiction films. And like it's been a while since I've like sat down and watched some documentaries. What has been the last documentary?
Or even just a couple of the last movies you saw that are worth noting.
I watched last Newfoundland film called The King Tide.
Oh, we lost you some way, shape, or form there. You flipped over to a different camera.
Flipped onto the MacBook cam, or the Mac cam.
I bet you the battery died. God damn it.
God damn you,
son of a bitch.
Fucking bad.
Okay, I'm not going to fucking bother with that. That's too much hassle right now. And I only have the one battery for that because it uses different batteries than my other one.
That's all right. You're looking good and sound good there anyway. You're good.
Yeah, the King Tide. I think it was shot on Bell Island. The director's from St. John's, but it's about this like little girl who like washes up ashore, and she has like mystical powers where like she like anyone who's like in her general vicinity like can't get sick, or like if something happens they heal really quickly. Like they take her out to go fishing, and like, you know, she like basically like replenishes cod stocks and stuff.
Oh wow.
And then
that's pretty cool.
It's a really good movie. I think it just came out last year. It was like, I think it maybe premiered at the Toronto Film Festival. But yeah, no, that was a really good one. What
So
else?
would those be like, on streaming, or how would you consume?
I think I want to say it's on Crave.
Okay.
I
love Crave for that. A little bit of local
Crave
flavor.
is the.
I don't have Crave.
Okay, actually, it's on Apple TV.
Okay.
I don't have that.
I don't have that.
I got that.
My,
I got that one. Do you got that one?
My
You got
free,
that subscription?
free sub. My free sub ran out.
Speaking of wasteful things, subscriptions.
Yeah, isn't
Oh
that
my
something?
God.
That's my other gripe with the world.
They've basically reinvented cable.
Yes.
Isn't it really? Yeah, it turned
it's the
into
same fucking thing.
Like honestly, we probably pay more for like the different streaming services than we did for a standard cable, like a full cable package.
Yeah.
Back in the
I
day.
definitely am playing exactly the same, or if not more, it's definitely the same.
Yeah.
For sure.
Everything goes up and up too every couple of years.
This
every
is
3 months,
why
Netflix
I
slips in
fucking
a dollar.
pirate everything.
Yeah, I might be back on that train.
Is
I
Pirate
I
Bay
still
still a
pay
thing?
for a ton of stuff, but I pirate everything too.
Oh, I do. I'm not gonna lie. I might sneak in there every now and then. I don't always. I'm not streaming everything. That's.
I haven't pirated anything since probably 2008.
Oh man.
No, I pirated.
I don't know how.
I may or may not have pirated something recently.
I literally don't even know how. Like, I don't even know how that works anymore. I used to be computer literate. Now I'm a computer old dude who doesn't know how to fucking get on a website.
It's a struggle, man. It's a struggle. I recently, so there's a website that I found. I think I found out about it last year, but I only just started using it, called NeoCities, which, much like the name implies, is a GeoCities style web host.
Nice.
Where you just do basic HTML web web pages, no fancy shit at all. And I started putting together a little website for kind of more experimental writing and stuff. I've just been keeping a weird dream journal and writing just short kind of few paragraph ideas for things and stuff. Right now I'm writing a short story that might end up being a novella if it goes long enough, but it's kind of loosely inspired by Bishop's Falls and some weird Kennedy family lore.
Oh yeah, I'd be into reading that. I'd love to read that. That's awesome.
Hopefully I'm about 2,000 words in right now, and it's just the intro, so it'll probably end up being a longer.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
A longer piece. But the genesis of this idea, when I was a kid, my Nan Kennedy, anytime anything bad happened, would always blame everything on this guy named Ern Jones.
What? How did I not hear this before?
I'm honestly surprised you've never heard it in person, because whenever me and my brothers would argue or fight or whatever, she'd be like, Ern Jones is right into you, you're possessed.
Oh wow, you got the Ern Jones in you.
I don't remember hearing it, but maybe I thought it was a real person. That's probably why I didn't even think of it.
So that's the thing. I don't know if it's a real person. I don't know if I asked my dad, but I know. I was talking about it with my cousins, Ashley and Megan, and their mom. And their mom was I remember a Rocky Jones. I don't remember an Ern Jones. And so there was this, the lore I've kind of built in my head is that he's this person who had some kind of negative interaction. I think in my head, I don't know if this was ever told to me or if I just invented it, but there was a car crash that he was involved in with an aunt or uncle of mine or something like that. And based on what my Nan said, he cursed the family or some shit like that. So that she would talk about it all the fucking time when I was a kid.
Doesn't that?
And
I can't remember that at all.
so like the genesis of this idea is like the plot of the story is basically like a character that's, you know, ostensibly me, but yeah, isn't actually me, but like his like entire family is dead basically, and like the last person in his family to die was his grandfather, and he gets an envelope in the mail that's like just his name scribbled on it, and then a cutout from the newspaper about like a body washing up behind his grandparents' house, and then there's a picture of his grandparents' house and like the key. So he's like, okay, I guess I need to go back to my grandparents' house and like find out what the fuck is going on. So that's like kind of, and then like I will kind of tying in this like family curse and this like mythical, like, you know, demonic presence of Ern Jones into the story. Yeah, it's, I'm not like I've kind of like half an outline done so far, and like I'm working my way through the idea, like figuring out where to go with it and stuff, and like I have some pretty wacky ideas that may or may not work, but the I forget where I was going with the story too. Fuck. But
thinking about it too hard.
The I don't know. Apparently, my family's cursed, and I'm writing a short story about it.
So you wanted to make a novel of that? Like, is that something you've thought about for a while?
It won't be. I don't think I'll quite make it to novel length, but maybe like novella length, like maybe like 20,000 words, like a really really short novel kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, like I have. Yeah, like I said, I've written basically an introduction, and that's 2,000 words. So like, you know, if it keeps going as it's going, the other weird Kennedy family lore that I'm like trying to figure out how to tie into it. I don't know if you guys are like familiar with the concept of changelings, which is like when fairy folk kidnap a human child and replace it with a fairy child.
Oh no, I don't know nothing.
Apparently, and I only learned this like about my family. I think it was when I was home last year. I was staying with Ashley and Megan, my cousins, and we were talking. Like I was telling them about the idea. Like I hadn't even started writing it yet, but I was telling them about like because like we had talked about the Ern Jones thing a bunch because it was like ubiquitous. Like it was
the Ern Jones got into them too, I guess.
Apparently.
Yeah. But apparently my nan Kennedy thought I had been abducted as a child and was a changeling when I was like a newborn.
Wow.
Basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I guess I don't know. I don't know what to say there.
Well, get into that. What did she think happened?
That's
like
really
to you,
funny.
I really don't like. I don't remember exactly what they told me, but like just that like for a little while, Nan thought I was like a changeling. I don't know what.
Dipping into the acid or mushrooms, or
down at the fairy rings in the back, picking a few mushrooms.
Yeah, she has always had some flights of fancy, we'll say.
That's wicked, though. That's wicked because that's a big thing. Home is like everybody's superstitious to a certain degree. You know what I mean? In whatever way that looks, or
touch of
you can
paranormal,
say spiritual or whatever it is, but it's all like kind of superstitious.
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of look at it or whatever, right? Because like I mean, we had tons of funny stories growing up. Like, remember everybody's talking about fucking Wild Bologna?
Oh yeah,
like, and everybody got a kind of slightly different take on what they were or who it was or whatever. Like, I was told a couple of different things. One is it was like the railway workers that
that's
died or whatever you want to say.
That was always my background for Wild Bologna as well. That was like the ghosts of railway workers, but like I feel like different places, and like I haven't really read the folklore behind that because like I know. It seems like, based on like conversations I've had with like my cousins from Gander or like people that I like know from St. John's and stuff, like they're kind of like different like versions of Wild Bologna like all over Newfoundland. So it's like really like it's interesting the way like that kind of like folklore digs in and like, kind of adapts to whatever part of, like, I'm sure, in some places they were fishermen or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It just happened to be railway workers in Bishop's Falls because, we had the railway.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because then there was, I'm sure that Lauren Garrett does not watch this podcast, so I'm just going to say his name.
Your old neighbor.
And even if he does, I'm going to say, and then he would, like, when we were, like, younger than that, even, like, when I first kind of got into that, he was telling us, like, it was this dude, something, whatever happened to him or whatever, he used to run around in the woods or whatever. And then there was another guy, it was like, but it's the same kind of story. I mean, everybody's got, all over the world, it's like, the dude who got loose from the mental institution or whatever. It wasn't the mental institution, but whatever, that kind of a thing or whatever. It was that guy. Wow. He would be like, he hung out down by the old playground. That's where I used to hear that story a lot when we'd be down around the old playground and stuff. You'd hear that story. But obviously, I mean, that like obviously plays into like the filmmaking that you're doing. Like, you know what I mean? It seems like it to me, like not all of it necessarily, but you know what I mean? There's a certain amount of, because what is it on your website you say? It's, what is it? Small town
surrealism.
That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, and that is a very accurate description, I feel like.
Yeah, like it. So like, I guess like kind of after I moved out, like when I like moved to St. John's to start going to university is probably when it started. But like I used to have these like really vivid recurring dreams about like weird shit in Bishop's Falls. Basically, like some of them were like super apocalyptic, like, there would be like fires and floods and like meteors crashing into the town and stuff. And like, they would just like keep like, I would have them like, once every few months or something. So like, my short film Haunted, which is like kind of like a collage, like film where like I took actual like old footage of the Bishop's Falls flood and then like cut it with like collages that I made and stuff and like recorded like narration over that. And that was like, I can kind of like the narration that I wrote for that was kind of a conglomeration of like a few different recurring dreams that I had like over the years about Bishop's Falls. And
crazy.
Like, it's weird that like, I feel like, you have like this connection to a place, you grow up in a place or whatever, and then like, you never like, you'll like, even if you like, it's like, I was never like super stoked about Bishop's Falls, I was always, kind of bored there, or whatever. But like, there's like this sense of like, when you haven't been there for such a long time, your brain starts to like draw these like weird connections with with each other, and like yeah, it's weird. So like that kind of stuff is like definitely playing into that story that I'm writing as well, and like kind of like looking at like kind of how things like, I don't know when the last time either of you guys were in Bishop's Falls was, but like, every time I go back, like probably maybe not every year, but like close to every year, and like some things are like exactly the same and so many other things are like so different that it's like you could be like walking down the street and it's like the exact same place that it was 30 years ago, and then you turn a corner and it's like all new like subdevelopments and stuff, and it's like such a bizarre experience to be like to process. So that kind of like feeds its way into, I guess the way I process that is,
do you feel like, I don't know, the way I find it's almost like it's you can't quite remember it the way it was, you know what I mean? Like or whatever, like there's like a ghost. It's almost like a ghost.
Well, that's what, like where I got those.
There almost.
Well, I got those like home movies done off just recently. I just watched them like 2 days ago and stuff and like that.
Oh man, I lost my mind when you sent me those.
And it's like, it's weird.
You see the little clips? They're nuts.
It's weird because like I've only been back twice in 20 years, right? So, and it's been 11 years since I've been back there last, and it's weird. And like, as much as I loved watching those videos, after it was all over, like I kind of felt like there was a empty part of me, and I like a deep sadness that I'm missing, and I feel homesick for a place that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
like
that's
it was like-
absolutely
100%.
like
It was-
that is like the textbook definition of nostalgia. It's like, you know, it's like that homesickness for something that no longer is there.
And it was
like,
I felt like a part of me died when the tape was over. It's like, okay,
weird.
well, I want more of that, but it's like it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like that's it. Like there's no more.
You cannot. Yeah.
And I had, you know, like you said, you make those connections with things, and you try to remember things as they were, but they're not quite the same when you think of them now. And it's just like, I don't know. And it's only been 2 days since I last seen it, and I'm still just recovering from like almost like a weird depression.
Yeah,
as
it's
weird as that
weird.
says, and as stupid as that sounds.
No, that's totally.
But it's like I was totally fucking like it was like a part of me. Like I watched a part of me die, and then I'm like laying in bed that night, and I'm just like, fuck, like what the fuck, like it's gone, and it's never coming back. Like, and it's so it's just so so it's totally weird to see that stuff and.
No, that's 100% why I'm like writing this thing that I'm writing, and like even though like I mentioned that found footage film that I'm writing as well. I think I mentioned that last time I was on, but like even though that I don't think is going to be like set in Bishop's Falls or anything like that, it's like the premise of it is like drawing, like it's going to be set in 1999. You know, it's going to be teenagers like us, you know, with a video camera doing shithead things with a video camera, you know, as like the basic setup of the movie. And it's like when I started like writing that idea, that specifically the clip that you sent me of Chris falling out of the tree, or no, Keith falling out of the tree. Like that night in particular, like I like have very vivid memory. Like I remember like that night we were like driving around in Keith's van listening to Glassjaw, and like that like I don't know why that night in particular like stuck in my head the way it did, but like like one of the goals of like the setup of the film is recapturing that like that feeling. Like there's like that like, you know, like weird combination of like mischief, but also like, you know, we were like what, like 15, 16 at the time. Like, so like we weren't like little kids or anything. Like we were like, but we were like, you know, still, you know, we were out trying to like, you know, find the best way to like amuse ourselves in this like, you know, tiny ass town and document it, you know. And like just trying to like like a lot of the stuff I write I think is like kind of like trying to capture that like that sense of how like there's no way to actually recapture that, you know? And
well, there's a whole recklessness thing too, you know, like you have no, like, it's almost like you don't have a consequence. I mean, technically, yes, there is, but at that point, and you can't go back to that because now you know, right? Like, you know better. It's weird, eh? Like, super weird place to find yourself at almost 40.
For sure. There's one of my like really, really big influences is this. I don't know if I would call him a philosopher necessarily. He was kind of like a cultural critic, I guess. Mark Fisher. He wrote one of the books that he wrote is called Ghosts of My Life, and it's like him talking about different music, mainly like electronic music, like Burial and The Caretaker and like artists like that, who like kind of like defined like a certain generation of like electronic music for him. But they're like the style, and like this is kind of like what I do what I did with the Fog Lake video as well. Like artists like Burial use like part of like their sound is the crackle of vinyl, like like that like warm hissy like dust on the needle like sound. And like what Fisher talks about is that represents like this like feeling of like lost futures. Like we had when you're being nostalgic, you're thinking about like the past, but also like what like back then everything was like so wide open, like with like possibilities and stuff. And it's like as time goes on, like part of this is just the general like nature of the progression of time or whatever, but a lot of it's like political too, like the politics, like the political and economic structures kind of like delineate what is possible. But there's this like the nostalgia of all that is you're thinking back on all of this stuff in part because there were so many possibilities like that led from that, if that makes sense. And that's kind of the aesthetic drive behind like the film grain and like dust on the Fog Lake video and stuff like that as well. But like he talks a lot about the ways that like one of the examples he gives is the band the Arctic Monkeys. When they first came out, the video for You Would Look Good on the Dance Floor is like them, like it looks like it was shot in the 70s, it sounds like it was made in the 70s, and it's like there are all of these ways in which we're just like reliving those like past, like unable to come up with like new ways forward because of any number of reasons, but like we're just like kind of trapped in this like sense of the past. So it's like when you're like watching your old home movies or whatever, it's like like you said, we didn't have any responsibilities, we didn't have any real consequences or anything. It was just like we were like free to do whatever the fuck we wanted. And it's like not anymore. So it's like not so that little diatribe was kind of a bummer, but but it's like so like that's like the kind of like stuff I spend maybe a little too much time thinking about, but like trying to channel into like the things I write and like the films that I'm trying to make and stuff. Even like I was hoping to shoot a short film this weekend, but like the timing didn't line up, so I'm probably gonna end up shooting it at the end of August now. But like the plot of it is like this person has been like using an old like 13-inch CRT TV and an old tape recorder to do EVP, like electronic voice phenomena recordings. And she ends up channeling what ends up being a memory of her partner's mom who killed herself. And like I actually wrote that script a few years ago after reading that Mark Fisher book. So it like kind of all ties into each other. But like, yeah, that's always like something that's kind of in the back of my head when I'm like writing, like just like processing like all of this like you never like, even like we all have like pretty comfortable lives, like the three of us, we're not neither of us are like miserable in poverty or anything, but like it's still like we don't have that like unbridled sense of like possibility that we did 20-30 years ago. So it's trying to like trying to grapple with that has kind of been a motivating factor for most of the things I do.
Yeah, it's trying to Like it's exactly when you're that age, you feel like you have all the time in the world to figure things out and do whatever you want.
Well,
and then before
you don't have much
know
to
it,
look back on, right? That's the way I feel about it now that I'm older. At the time, I just didn't have anything to look back to. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't enough time gone by to be like, oh, I forget, I remember, everything, because it was just like yesterday. Like everything was just like yesterday. But yeah, like the further you get away from it, it's like I say, it all just becomes this ghost almost. Like it's there, it's all there, but it's not tangible. Like it's not really the way, and it's not even really the way it was. And like because I go home, I don't know, once every 5-ish, give or take, years kind of thing or whatever, and like even like I went home and like I took pictures of the skate courts and like the guys' names are still written there and stuff, but like I mean nobody goes there, you know what I mean? Like it's just there or whatever. And
like,
I don't know, like thinking about that place when we were kids was nuts.
Stuff that was like, none of the like ramps or boxes or anything are there anymore, and it's like there's a new skate park and stuff there now, but it's like that skate park doesn't have like the kind of connections.
No, God. And even like when it finally, like the last going off, even when we kind of all still lived at home and it kind of got beat up for the last time and everybody kind of abandoned ship on it at that point.
Yeah.
Like that was even kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of like a coming of age moment or whatever. Like
it was like an end of an era kind of thing.
Yeah, it felt different or whatever. And I mean, like I started skating a little bit before. Probably me and you were around the same time, I guess, give or take. But like, I started hanging out around there when I was like 10, kind of thing, 11, whatever it was, right? Grade 6, 7, or whatever.
Yeah, it was. I remember Matt Noble took me down there. We were in you and I were in grade 6, and because I remember having the CCS catalog that came out. Like looking at it in class, getting in trouble for it. But yeah, I remember like Matt Noble taking me down there. It must have been like spring of '97.
Yeah, I would say, because that was the year. That same summer was the first year I got a deck. I got the big Nash board, big dirty Nash board.
Yeah, because like I remember after grade 6 that year, I went to Ontario with my nan, and I was really bummed because I was stoked to go on the trip, had a great time and stuff, but like 90% of the time I was like, I kind of wish I was back home. Sam has a skateboard.
We're going
That's
skating.
Like all I could think about was like, I want to skate.
Oh yeah, man, that was like the turning point of my entire life in reality. Well, I guess technically, I guess I started hanging around with Matt like a couple years before that. Kind of, to be fair, like Matt Noble in reality is a reason I like most of the stuff I do and whatever else. I'll be the first to say that kind of thing. But yeah, it's because I started hanging out with him like a couple years before that, maybe because he was sick at the time and he couldn't really go outside much because he had the machine and all that stuff. And then he got a skateboard. It was like life changing.
And
like even those things don't feel real even like anymore. Like thinking about that, I was so young and like I remember like on the first day of school, because it was the first day like we amalgamated, but I had to go to, we went to high school because you were still at the Pentecost era school, I believe.
I was for 7 that year. I was at grade 7. I went to Bercy because Matt also went to Bercy.
He did, yeah. So like I remember I had to go to a different school, like that's how it felt to me, like than you guys. And not only that, now I have to go to high school with a bunch of people that I kind of know, but not really. But like I do remember that summer was very relieving almost for me because we started skating, and everybody kind of like, it was first when everybody kind of started to hang out at the courts and at the soccer field, and that kind of first started up. So it made me feel a little more comfortable about it and whatever. But I remember I skated at school, and I thought it was fucking hot dog. But like I remember that like rolling up, like I had my flame boy hat, like I remember like picking out my outfit and whatever, like that kind of shit or whatever. But like I remember being like almost left, like I felt left out because you guys were going to Bercy, but I had to go next door or whatever.
Honestly, I had the exact same response. Like I did not want to go to Bercy because it was like, okay, Sam is not going to Bercy, and I didn't know that Matt was going to Bercy. That year.
And he was significantly older than us kind of at that time too. I mean, he would have been like 4 years older than us or whatever at that point even.
Yeah. He was 3 or 4 years older than us. I can't remember exactly. But it was like, I felt the exact same way. I was like, I'm not going to fucking know anyone. There's not going to be anyone. There's definitely not going to be anyone there that skates.
Yeah.
And the only thing I gave a shit about at the time. but yeah, that was a fucking weird time.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Like, to
Weird
be fair,
school too.
yeah, Bercy was strange because my mom went there, so like I used to go there every now and then or whatever. Like she was kind of like an alumni thing or whatever, so I used to go there.
Yeah,
but, yeah, man, that was a strange time then, and even like I remember like I mean felt like such an outcast for being a skater even at the time. But I really was like, this is awesome, and couldn't wait to do it again. And I don't know, it was weird, man.
It was.
That's kind of what brought us all back to hanging out us together because we didn't hang out then. I hung out with Brian and Flynn and all them. They're older than me, so. That's who I went to the courts with first time with Smorg, right? And seeing like Ride Out and like all the boys down there and like, stuff like that.
Yeah, because like Ryan, you and I like hung out when we were like really young because I lived, up on the hill, and then so we lived close by, and like our parents knew each other, so like we just like started hanging out when we were kids and stuff. And then like when I moved up to Green Ridge, that's when I started hanging out with Sam. Yeah, and like so it was like so. It was such a coincidence that like we all ended up getting into skating.
Yeah, like separately too. That's what.
Yeah, like
India.
Like Sam and I guess like we were hanging out enough that like we kind of like influenced each other's interests.
Oh yeah, for
in
sure.
that sense. Yeah. But like the fact that we were all like we all gravitated to it the way like the amount that we did is still wild to me because like Benjamin Falls is such a small place. Like there's. What are the chances that like so many people would end up interested in skateboarding?
Yeah, and I think it was I don't even know, like it was, and I know it became like uber popular kind of thing, like right, 1999 was kind of like the pinnacle at that, up on that wave of skateboarding kind of thing or whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
With, like,
it was just different, man.
Coming out in the X-Files or not the X-Files, the X Games.
Yeah, right.
And
like
stuff.
Tony Hawk doing like, Undies.
Yeah, like we were like kind of like.
It felt weird
just before that, so it was like, like I remember like I would see, like Screech and Rob Adams and
Lingard and fucking
girls. Like I would always see them like skate. Like I would be like doing like whatever like out in front of my house, and like I'd look out towards Main Street. And I would just like see them in the distance like skate past and like. Think like fuck, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
That was kind of my first. I remember the first time I seen Addy skate up the road like at full speed, and I'm just like, that looks super cool. And I hung out with Brian too, and he skateboarded, and he's like, get a skateboard. But I didn't get a skateboard until the Christmas of '97, so it must have been the spring and summer of '98 that I was actually down at the courts and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a little bit, it's before the. I guess it became super popular. Then everyone skateboarded, I guess.
Oh yeah, at one point, man, everybody in town skated. It was nuts.
Oh man,
it was nuts.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Like so, like all the people that like they would show up and it's like, oh, you skate now? Really?
Yeah, man, it was nuts. Like everybody did. Like it was nuts. And like at first, like the way I felt about it, because like I mean, like first when I joined the club or whatever, like, and I mean same as you, I'm sure, because it wasn't that long after. I mean, you got to skate there, but. Like first it was just like me and Tube or whatever, and like we would be skating with the boys, and it was like there was just like a little crew of us kind of thing, and it was like, and I mean I was super young. I was definitely too young to be fucking around what they were doing. And anyway, yeah. So but like I don't know, I felt like I was like it felt very like at the time I felt very punk rock. Like that's how I felt about it. Totally, it was like because you get made fun of, like grown adults would make fun of you as a fucking 10-year-old kid or whatever. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, so like it felt really like, and I mean like, and then you couldn't skate anywhere because everybody hated you and whatever. So you're telling everybody to go fuck themselves, kind of thing. And,
and like every so often, like someone would like go to the courts and like beat the shit out of everything there.
Yeah, man, it was nuts. Like it was like just a whole fucking thing.
Like really, like
Yeah, I don't know. It was a different energy, man, back then. And then, like, when it kind of got popular, it was a little different. But I remember first, like, when I remember my parents being like, holy shit, like, you're skateboarding? Like, like, what the hell or whatever? Like, do not be a dick. But, like, I don't know. It was different. But it like that was part of growing up, I guess. Like, I find, like, now, I mean, I still have skating yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, I can't not. And I'm not, like, I'm out there doing tricks. I was just, like, rolling around and whatever. But, I mean, like,
well,
I was going full push.
Oh yeah, no, like I fucking wrecked myself like a month ago bombing a hill.
Is that the hand? I seen?
Yeah, the hand. Yeah, I was so fucking stupid. Like I never bombed hills before. Like I the closest I came was when we would like luge down the hill next to my grandparents' house.
Down the beam.
Yeah. But like I worked an overnight shift at my work, and I like skated to work, and I was like skating home, and like normally I would like I would like walk down this hill and like take the back roads like home, but it was like 5 a.m. or whatever. There was like no traffic whatsoever, so I was just like skating along. I'm like in a daze because I just worked an overnight shift, and I was like, yeah, like like to look at, it doesn't seem like a big hill. So I was like skating along. I'm like, I can handle this. And on my way to work that night, actually, there was a guy who was going down over that like incline, and it's like maybe like a third of the size of the hill by the bean. Like it's not big, and like not as steep either. And like there was a guy going down them on rollerblades as I was like walking up it, and he like this is like he looked at me as he was going past and just said like, this is fucking nuts. And like I laughed and like went on, and so like I'm like, anyway, like I'm skating home, and I'm like, yeah, this is fine. It's I can handle this. And like forgetting all, aside from the fact that like I never bomb hills, like forgetting one, the bearings that I have right now are incredibly good bearings, and I've been skating my trucks looser than I'm used to skating them as well. So like as soon as I like hit the slope, I just got the gnarliest speed wobble I've ever experienced. And I was like, okay, I can handle this. And instead of like dragging my foot, like my heel off the tail of the board, that would have actually stopped me, I put my foot down to the side as if I was like, just like slowing down on like a regular recline. And it was like, as soon as my foot touched the ground, I just went flying off the fucking board and like managed, I like landed on my left hand and like rolled through or whatever, and like would have been fine. But like I had so much momentum that my right hand like flung forward and just like scraped all along the road.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was like so fucking stupid. I was like,
not a good scene.
As it was happening, I was like, I'm such a fucking idiot.
Super early in the morning too.
Just getting flattened.
Yeah. So like, I was like, fuck. Like I walked the rest of the way home, like blood dripping off my hand and stuff. And like in my, like the funniest thing in my head, I was like, as soon as I get home, I'm getting my camera and taking a photo of this.
Yeah, you might as well, because fuck.
Yeah, like it's one of those things that I felt like I had to document. But like at the same time, it was like, oh yeah, I can still go if I want to. Like it didn't faze me really. Like I probably could have skated home fine. Like, the next like week or so, like I guess my calf hit the road as well, and like I had like a sore calf for like a couple of weeks or whatever, and like
that's not bad.
Probably wouldn't. Yeah, like but other than that, like I'm pushing 40, and took probably the worst slam I've ever taken on a skateboard, and it was fine.
Just getting fucking smashed at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, no, it's and like there's like every like I told both of my parents, I told and then like Leah told their mom as well, and like every single like adult like parent age adults it's like, you're not 16 anymore, what are you doing?
Whatever, you're only as old as you feel. That's why they're old.
Yeah,
the actual adults.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, the actual
adults.
Yeah,
no, it was like it like kind of invigorated me. Like I've been like skating a lot. Like I've only made it out to like a skate park like once or twice, but like I'm still like skating to work every day and stuff, and like skating home, and like I've probably skated more this summer than in like the past 10 years combined.
Nice. Just going for a push, man, is like the best.
Yeah.
Just going for a serious push, like put on some headphones and just fucking
Yeah.
go. Like I got a cruiser like with big old tires on this beast. But you got to like if you're just going for a push, like if that's strictly what you're up to. I find riding a regular one is not really where it's at, ripping down the road. But I have a sick cruiser, and I love that thing. Man, I go out every couple of days, go for a big push.
Yeah, I definitely need like bigger wheels.
It's clutch. It's clutch. I never thought I'd like it, but it's clutch.
Yeah, like what I like the setup I have now, like the trucks and wheels that I have are like old trucks and wheels that like a friend of mine just like found in her parents' basement, like like at the beginning of the pandemic, and like I was like had been considering buying a new board because like when I moved to Hamilton, I had to leave my board behind because my like luggage was like just slightly overweight because like I had like, you know, most of the stuff that I owned with me. And like it was like my skateboard was like the one thing that I was like able to leave behind. So like my friend had like dropped me off at the airport and I was like, fuck, take this with you. I was like so bummed. But like when the pandemic started, I was like, I kind of want to get a skateboard again. And so like I ended up like just like buying a deck, and like I didn't have like I was like, you know, I'll pick up some like trucks and wheels and stuff down the line. Like I lived like a few blocks away from like the best skate shop in Hamilton, and then my friend posted one day she found like her old like I'll grab it and show you. Actually, it's hilarious.
Big old beast.
I was wondering. I was going to ask him what kind of.
What do you got there?
What kind of board? Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you can actually see on the thing. They're old, like it was an old Bam Margera complete. Like,
oh shit! The fucking
from like probably like 2010, and so like she gave me the whole complete, and like I just like took the trucks off them and stuff. Like they're still good condition and stuff. They're just like, you know, Royals.
Oh shit! With the purple Royal, that's actually sick.
Yeah.
My trucks on my cruiser are cheetah print. Oh, hockey deck, nice. Like it.
Yeah, it's such a nice deck to skate, and it's an 825. I've always skated like 775s, and
I made the transition to it. I made the transition.
It took me a while to get used to, but it's so nice.
I do a 838, 8 3/8. I like it.
Yeah, I definitely should have moved up to a bigger size like a long time ago because like I started skating 775s like when I was like 12.
Sticks.
That's what that's what I thought. Everyone skated too, right?
Like I was like, you know, skating in like my 20s or whatever, you know, a full grown adult. I was like trying to do a kickflip. I'd like spin it like 3 times because it's so fucking narrow and my feet are so fucking big.
You sure did.
Yeah, that's why I should have moved up to a bigger board earlier because my feet were so big and I was so tall. It was just like not really ideal at all. You needed a bigger.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the same. Like we're probably around the same height, shoe size, I would imagine. So it's like, you know, we're both above like, you know, 6'2", 6'3". Yeah. So like, but yeah, no, like I picked that up and then like she found that old fucking Bam complete. So I'm like skating this like weird hybrid like setup, and like it's been great. But yeah, a lot of the side roads in Hamilton are not well taken care of. Like the city's in rough shape.
The Ham is in rough shape these days.
The hammer.
Oh, yeah, I found so like I got a John Dixon deck. The Death Cruiser is what I call it. It's got pink grip tape on it. Cheetah print trucks. But that's an 8. Sick. That's an 8.5, I believe, is that one. And so then I got big fucking speed wheels on it and savage bearings, and it's way better because I mean the roads are nice here and stuff like that, but there's rocks fucking everywhere, fucking rocks. Yeah. But you can roll over like a pretty decent sized pebble with those bad boys. I must say they're like 160 mil wheels. I thought I was there 120s or something. Whatever. They're pretty big, but they're fucking sick for rolling around on. You can't really do many tricks, but you can.
Right.
You can give her, yes. You would definitely have killed yourself bombing down the hill on it. It's fucking fast, dude.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, that I my hand is like mostly healed now.
I was gonna say, you can still see the marks, man.
Yeah, no, there's still like some definite scar tissue there. After the scabs fell off, I like slept on it funny one night, and like my arm fell asleep, and like all the capillaries in the scar tissue burst. So it was like, so it like ended up like with like all these like splotchy scars that are like still, and like it kind of looks like I was like bitten.
It does actually, yeah. Looks like somebody tried to bite your hand. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah,
man.
like it. Yes, like it was like a month ago, and I'm like still like, how the fuck did that even happen? Like,
so you go a different route on the way home now, I'm guessing, or?
Oh yeah.
At least I don't bump.
Yeah, no, I am.
Fuck that.
I every now and then I'm like I have my skate tool in my backpack. I'm like, should I like tighten up the trucks and like try that again? I'm not going to.
Is clutch on the bomb, but
I'm not a glutton for punishment by any means. But every now and then I'm like kind of tempted.
Try it out again, see what happens.
Yeah.
I like to bomb. I've said it a couple times out loud. I like to go back home, bomb the bean, like stand up, bomb it.
Man.
I wouldn't do that now though. I think I'd kill myself.
I feel like I mean, it's probably been long enough now that the pave is rough again, but I feel like it wasn't that long ago that they like repaved it.
That wouldn't be so
probably
bad.
like half bombable.
If it's pretty clean paving, I might give it a shot.
That's a
Put on some gear, maybe I put on some elbow pads and a helmet.
Pretty big hill.
What was the hill that D Luff tried to bomb and like totally smoked himself on that time?
I can't remember.
Oh, up by the water tower, wasn't it?
Hill, maybe.
Was it Hamptons?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Newtown or something.
If it was Newtown, he's off his head.
No, it wasn't Newtown. I think it was the one that leads up to the water towers.
I don't know, whatever that's called. I've scooted down over that. I've never bombed. Like I've only bombed hills in St. John's a few times. And that was a little too much for me. At the time I was in my 20s, it was fine, but now I probably wouldn't have that. Fucking craziness going down towards Water Street there and shit. Like fuck that noise.
Oh yeah.
Bombing Hamilton Hill.
Oh man,
Road there.
When I was when I was in St. John's, I was living downtown, so like, and I was working up behind the Avalon Mall, so I'd like bike to work every day. It's like a 5-kilometer uphill bike ride to work, so I was in like fucking great shape. But like on the way back, it was pretty much all downhill, and it was like I would never attempt to bomb that on a skateboard. Like it was like, you have a lot more control on a bike, but it was like terrifying on my bike with like,
I did Hamilton Hill once on my skate. Once. From not quite all the way to the top. I lived like just up at the other, like the far top end of the park.
Right.
I bombed in from there. That's still pretty giving her, I'm not going to lie, man. By the time I got to the bottom, I was fucking giving her. That was a full abandoned ship on the flat ground.
Yeah, I was never a big like daredevil skater. Like, I was never like pushing my limits or anything when it came to that kind of stuff. So like, attempting to do that, I feel like I'm probably a little braver with that kind of stuff now than I was back then, actually. But
I think I became a better skater in my 30s than I was when I was 18.
Yeah, for sure.
I do cooler tricks and stuff. Like I could definitely have more control. I may have been a bit more reckless back in the old day, but
yeah,
I like doing gaps. I like jumping over stuff when I was younger. I like that part.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed a gap. There's actually just at the top of the hill that I fucking killed myself on. There's like a whole strip mall, and it has like one of the like kind of like a ledge and a gap that's like freshly put in, and it's like I usually like skate that a little before I make my way home, and it's like, oh, Jesus,
gassy.
I ate an entire pizza for supper, and it was a fucking terrible idea.
Need some Tums after that one.
Oh man, but yeah, like it's like, like 5 in the morning, there's nothing around, so like I can like ollie the gap and like go out into what would be traffic and not die, and then kill myself elsewhere. But
that's sick. Well, my friend, you should wrap it up there, I suppose. It's a couple good tales from the old B Falls. Nice to see what you're up to again too.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so you got some stuff in post production too. So when you get all that finished, now we'll get you back again. Then we'll do a.
Oh yeah. We'll do hopefully, like I said, I'm trying to shoot that short film I was talking about like sometime next month. And if everything goes well with that, that's gonna be like, I'm hoping to like get that into some film festivals and stuff. So that'll be that'll be a big project. So who knows when that will actually see the light of day, but fingers crossed. But yeah, I've like I said, I've got a few things, kind of a few irons in the fire. So hopefully, not too long, I'll have a few more things to show off to the world.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And any literature you finalize, definitely want to get into reading that as well.
Oh man, yeah, like that short story is gonna be fucking bonkers.
I'm excited for that. I can't wait for that.
I'm gonna get real weird with it, and I'm like I'm racking my brain for like little like weird details about Bishop's Falls to like work in there. Like I think at one point I like talk about like how people used to dive off the top of the trussel. Which is
that's
insane.
Real.
On one of the videos I had Ryan Locke jumping off the top of the trussel.
That's wicked.
And yeah, that's nuts, right? that always blew my fucking. Oh, actually, before we go, related to the trussel, do you guys remember when the walkway was put across the trussel? Like what year?
I was like for Come Home year.
For Come Home year, whatever year that was.
Yeah, so they probably presumed like that was 2000.
2000.
So presumably they did it in '99 in like the lead up to 2000.
Yeah, because I remember when I started hanging out at the courts, because that was to be part of the hangout spot, was across the fucking trussel. But it was it was like gnarly as shit. Like there was holes in it.
It was like it was like a foot and a half or 2 feet between like ties. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like terrified. Like I remember like walking across, being like terrified I was gonna fall in. Anyway, yeah, I was just like trying to figure that out. Like it's like that. I was like specifically writing about that, and like couldn't remember when it was. So I just figured I'd ask you guys.
Ask the locals.
yeah, exactly.
It was Come Home for sure.
All right.
Cool. Tell everybody where they can find all your stuff. Let everybody know out in the world where they can get your awesome movies and stuff.
All right, yeah. JohnKennedy.net is my website. JON Kennedy.net. All my short films are up there. I need to update it with like my new the music videos and stuff, but it's been a few years since I've updated it. Get Ratified on Instagram and Threads and whatever other bullshit I post on at any given time.
The shit posts are real.
Yeah. Oh, so if you want my shit posts, that's where to go. What else? We kind of mentioned it in passing at the beginning, but I was last week or a few days ago, I guess, on an episode of Left of the Projector, which is like a political movie podcast. I was talking about Eyes Wide Shut. So if you want to hear me talk about a lot of the same stuff that I talked about the last time I was on here, a lot of like conspiracy theory, secret society stuff, I get into a lot of that stuff on there. The Fog Lake music video is called Secret. Go watch that. It's really good. Aaron is an incredible musician. Listen to all his music. It's fucking great. I guess that's it.
They'll get you.
Right on, man.
Awesome, man. Well,
all right. A pleasure, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging with us again.
Thanks for joining us.
Doing another late night and chilling and talking about some old fun stuff.
Anytime you want me back, let me know.
Oh, you'll be back. Don't worry.
All right, later, guys.
No doubt.
See you later, buddy.